Hello. Hi.
Hello. How does your grandmother feel about the Russian Revolution?
Well, she was born after it.
After it or after 19... Oh, it would have been because you are already an adult. Were you born before or after Gorbachev betrayed the people?
Uh, I was born during his rule.
Wow. Such an interesting perspective across the world.
And I was born 1987. Well, he was still...
Just a few years later, he
Mm-hmm.
would hold a vote and
Yeah.
then ignore it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So how... what's going on? What are you talking about? I see you are into politics. Am I right?
History, politics.
Good.
Yeah, I'm an English major, so I've read a lot of like where history and theory kind of meet.
Good. Great. Great. Listen. What do you think about the current situation, the current conflict in Eastern Europe?
Whew. I mean, two things can be true. Ukraine is almost exclusively run by people in or affiliated with actual pre-war fascist parties and organizations, but Putin's Russia is not the anti-fascism of the Red Army, okay? And he um, co-opts that kind of nationalist power instead of against fascism. He just puts the denazification on it as a label for just good old-fashioned Russian Empire imperialism, which is like, y'all were very proud of the Russian Empire for a moment there. Why can't we just pretend that we were proud of it again? Why do we have to pretend that we're doing the anti-Nazi thing again? When it's like, you're never going to admit that Stalin did it best. So, I don't know. We live in a barbarism is coming. I don't know. Bad things are happening.
Okay, great to hear.
I think it echoes a little bit of what's happening in the United States, where actual labor and like actual democratic control of anything, the public institutions are being destroyed slowly but surely. Everything's becoming privatized again, and like as a result, we don't have the same like our it's the liberalism fighting for control over people against conservatism, which is just neo-fascism in the United States. It's literally just like the birth rates and the white people and the replacement and all of the like literal blood and soil fascism that, man, Nuremberg, good for them. Good for them, but wasn't enough. It was never enough. America was like, give us your tired, you're hungry, you're Nazis, you're scientists. It was just, and so that's, I think, a lot of the influence that we get um, on our economy and our economic kind of political, the Overton window, I guess you could say, is very, very far right, and it is scary. Like even the 1920s, I feel like was way more socialistier than it is now. I mean, people used to barge into the boss's office with a gun. And now people are dying at Amazon every Prime Day. It's like it's very scary what's happening.
Okay, so I don't know what to ask you. What do you think about this whole situation with the freaking kids going transgender and without their parents' consent? And I think it's insane.
I don't think you need a parent's consent to just develop gender, which is something we all do when we're 3 years old. We all start to kind of get this idea. It's interoception is what it's called in children. It slowly develops like a couple years after object permanence where they're like, oh, I'm different than stuff that's not me. And then they start to differentiate, I'm different than other people. And the internal process of a kid is like, how am I different than other people? Which is where I'm a girl, a princess, a this, or that tends to stem. And it becomes like obsessive. And a kid will identify over lots of very silly things as they grow up. Whether they end up cis, which most do, or they don't, I think it's fine. Not to mention that, especially in America, you cannot permanently transition a child. Not to mention you can't do a mastectomy or like any sort of bottom surgery on someone who has not, grown to the tallest they're going to grow, developed hormonally as much as they're going to. They have to be post-puberty in order for any of that stuff to happen. So I really think it's, what did the Nazis burn first? Gender science from East Germany from the 1920s, which was getting so advanced. There were trans people living in the United States that were like celebrated, like old soldier comes home from war and becomes a beautiful blonde. And it just, we celebrated people like that. They're a little odd, but it's like they can live a normal life. And how cool is that in America? Science. And now we hate it. One
Um,
telltale sign of fascism is an anti-education. Everything is private and unintellectual.
Listen, I don't know, but they are the endocrine disruptors and the hormones. I
I
think.
wish I had been able to do puberty later. Oh my god. Puberty is a traumatic process for most kids, whether you have gender confusion or not. I was a girl. The only thing I struggled with was that I liked girls a little bit. But man, was puberty a nightmare. Puberty blockers have shown no adverse effects after they've been used for, a few decades.
Oh my God, what did I run into? Oh no.